You believe that you value things based on their quality. You believe that your judgment is objective. You are wrong. You are a victim of the IKEA Effect, a psychological bias that forces you to overvalue anything you have put effort into, regardless of its actual worth. The architects of consumerism have discovered that they do not need to build a perfect product for you. They just need to make you build it. By involving your labor, they hijack your ego. They turn a pile of cheap wood into a masterpiece in your mind, simply because you broke a sweat putting it together. You are not just buying furniture. You are buying a monument to your own wasted time. The researchers Dan Ariely and Michael Norton proved this with a simple experiment. They had people build origami and IKEA boxes. The builders valued their own amateur work as much as professional creations. Your brain cannot distinguish between high quality and high effort. This is why you stay in a failing business you started 5 years ago, and why you refuse to leave a toxic relationship you have worked on for a decade. You are not protecting an asset. You are protecting your ego. You are blinded by the sweat on your own brow. The elite minds, the true masters of efficiency, never fall in love with their own labor. They practice disemotional evaluation. They do not ask, how much did I work on this? They ask, what is this worth to the world right now? If the answer is 0, they discard it instantly. They do not let their blood, sweat, and tears become a prison, while the masses are clinging to their handmade failures. The elite are busy scaling automated successes. Before you claim that your hard work is always a virtue, realize that the biggest corporations in the USA use this to save billions in labor costs while making you feel like a partner. Think about the self-checkout lines in every Walmart and Target. They convinced you that scanning your own groceries is a convenience, a way to save time. In reality, they fired the cashier and made you the unpaid employee. You are doing the work, and they are keeping the profit, and the most brilliant part of the scam. You feel empowered while doing it. Your time is being stolen in the name of a fake achievement. The philosopher Hannah Arendt distinguished between labor and work. Labor is the repetitive task of survival, while work is the creation of something lasting. The IKEA effect tricks you into thinking your daily labor is actually work. It makes you feel like you are building a cathedral when you are actually just cleaning the floors of someone else's empire. The elite understand that if you are doing the labor, you are not the architect. They focus on action, the ability to start new processes, not just sustain old ones. Consider the economic mirage of the digital age. Why does a company like Apple or Tesla have such a fanatical following? It is not just the product, it is the onboarding. When you spend hours setting up your ecosystem, syncing your files, and customizing your settings, you are performing digital labor. The more you customize, the more you own it in your mind. This is why it is so painful to switch to a competitor. It is not that the competitor is worse. It is that you do not want to waste the labor you already invested. You are a prisoner of your own configuration. You are a prisoner of your own configuration. There is a darker layer to this that the philosopher Byung-Chul Han calls the Burnout Society. In the past, people were exploited by external masters. Today, we exploit ourselves, believing we are achieving self-realization. We are the prisoner and the guard at the same time. This is the hustle culture trap of the United States. You work 80 hours a week on a side hustle that earns you pennies, but you feel proud because you are working for yourself. In reality, you have just become a more efficient slave driver of your own soul. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned that the man who labors is the man who remains a slave. When you are buried in the doing, you lose the ability to see. The IKEA effect keeps you in the trenches. It makes you feel proud of tasks that a machine could do better. In the USA, we have glorified the hustle so much that we have forgotten how to judge the harvest. If your hustle is producing weeds, it does not matter how hard you worked. It is still a garden of weeds. Consider the cake mix secret of the 1950s. When instant cake mixes first hit the market, they failed. Why? Because they were too easy. They only required water. Housewives felt like they were cheating and did not value the result. The solution? The companies removed the dried eggs and forced the users to add fresh ones. Suddenly, sales skyrocketed. By making the task slightly harder, they gave the users the illusion of creation. They made them feel like they had baked a cake. You are being manipulated into doing work just so you can feel the dopamine hit of "I did this." Think about the Build-A-Bear workshop. You pay a premium price to do the factory worker's job. You stuff the bear, you dress it, you give it a heart. Because you put in the labor, that $5 teddy bear becomes a priceless heirloom in your mind. This is labor love, marketing. The corporate world is not selling you products. They are selling you the opportunity to fall in love with your own effort. The psychologist Viktor Frankl discussed how we find meaning through creation. But the system has hijacked this. Instead of creating a legacy, you are creating a personal brand on a platform you do not own. You spend hours editing videos, writing captions, and picking filters. Because you have put in the labor, you value your digital presence more than your physical reality. You are building a palace in a sandbox that the owner can kick over at any second. The sociologist Zygmunt Bauman spoke of liquid modernity, where everything is temporary. But because we invest labor in these temporary things, our social media feeds, our temporary jobs, our short-term projects, we become anchored to things that have no long-term value. We are sweating for shadows. We are like children building sandcastles while the tide is coming in, convinced that our effort will stop the ocean. Machiavelli understood that a prince should never let his subjects become too comfortable, but he should also let them think they are the ones building the kingdom. The elite mind has no sentimentality toward its own work. They use the mercenary mindset. They treat their own time as a currency. If a task does not offer a massive return on investment, they delegate it or delete it. They know that hard work is often a distraction from smart thinking. Thousands of brilliant developers spend millions of hours building open-source software for free. They do it for the pride of creation. But who captures the real-world value? Huge corporations like Google and Amazon take that free labor and build multi-billion-dollar service layers on top of it. The developers feel like owners because they wrote the code, but the corporations are the ones who own the bank accounts. This is the IKEA effect on a global, industrial scale. You are given the feeling of ownership while they take the reality of profit. In the USA, we are taught the Protestant work ethic. That work itself is holy. This is a lie used to keep the wheels of industry turning. If you spend 10 hours digging a hole and filling it back up, you have worked hard, but you have produced zero value. The market does not pay for sore muscles. It pays for solved problems. As Peter Drucker famously said, there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. The IKEA effect makes you efficient at useless things. It makes you a master of the trivial. The Nobel laureate Herbert Simon talked about satisficing the idea that we should look for good enough instead of perfect. The IKEA effect makes us maximizers. We spend too much time perfecting a trivial task because we feel our identity is tied to it. The elite do not care about perfection in the trivial. They only care about precision in the vital. They leave the handcrafted details to the people they hire. While you are obsessing over the font of your PowerPoint, the elite are obsessing over the strategy of the merger. How do you stop overvaluing your own work? How do you see things for what they truly are? You must use the stranger's lens, a mental filter that allows you to look at your own life and work as if you were a cold, calculated outsider. Imagine you were an alien who just landed on Earth. Would you buy the business you are running? Would you date the person you are with? Would you wear the clothes you are in? Most of you would say no. You are only saying yes now because you have invested too much blood in a dead body. The philosopher Albert Camus wrote about Sisyphus, the man condemned to push a boulder up a hill for eternity, only for it to roll back down. Camus said we must imagine Sisyphus happy, but the elite do not want to be happy while pushing a boulder. They want to build a machine that pushes the boulder for them, so they can go and conquer the next mountain. The IKEA effect is the boulder. It makes you love the weight. It makes you love the hill. It makes you mistake struggle for progress. The ultimate status is not being the hardest worker in the room. The ultimate status is being the clearest thinker in the room. A man who can walk away from his own creation is a man who cannot be controlled. He is a man who understands that doing is the lowest form of power, while deciding is the highest. In the skyscrapers of New York and the tech labs of Silicon Valley, the people at the top are not those who built the furniture. They are those who designed the system that makes you build it for them. Most people will finish this video and go back to their sunk labor. They will look at their messy garage, their failing project, or their broken habit and think, "But I tried so hard." They will stay trapped in the pride of their own struggle. They will continue to believe that effort is a substitute for value. They will die exhausted and empty-handed, leaving behind a monument of wasted years. They are the builders of other people's dreams too, blinded by their own sweat to see the exit sign. But you have stayed until the end because you have felt the weight of the IKEA trap. You have realized that your sweat is not a stamp of quality. You have realized that value is determined by the market, not by your ego. You are ready to start measuring results and stop measuring hours. You are ready to become a master of subtraction. You are ready to be an architect, not just a bricklayer. The door to the elite is wide open, but you have to drop the heavy masterpiece you have been carrying to walk through it. You cannot reach for the future if your hands are full of the past. In the USA, they tell you to hustle until you drop. We tell you to think until you rise. Stop being proud of how much you have suffered and start being proud of how much you have solved. This is the final secret. The world does not pay you for your effort. It pays you for your value. If you want to join the 100,000 who know the difference, you belong here. Subscribe to join the elite who work smart, not just hard. The labor is an illusion. The results are real. Your sweat is not your value. Your vision is. Stand your ground.